With the news of Marcus Davenport officially being out the rest of the season with an injury, Lions fans are adamant that Brad Holmes go out and get someone to replace him. But is it possible that Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals just became available? We're going to talk about it, so stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, my friends, and welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. Welcome back, all my Lions friends and all my loyal viewers. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about the Lions potentially trading for Trey Hendrickson. Not going to beat around the bush. It's in the title, pretty much in the thumbnail image, so we already know what the topic of this episode is. And we know, for the most part, why we're having this conversation. We already know Marcus Davenport is done for the year. Was pretty much announced by Dan Campbell and doesn't look like that's going to really change anything. Obviously, they're going to continue to look for second opinions and all that nonsense, but doesn't look like he's coming back, which I'm going to say this right now, and I'm not trying to sound cruel. I'm not trying to sound like a jerk or anything like that, but did we really expect anything different? Again, this is part of the bargain shopping thing that Brad Holmes does. It's high risk, high reward. And I know for a fact that Brad Holmes has been able to make it work quite a lot. But in some cases, such as this one, it has come back to bite us in the ass. Now, obviously we know that in the offseason, Lions fans absolutely wanted Brad Holmes to go out and to get a perennial edge rusher. They wanted to get somebody really damn good. Obviously, there was the name Danielle Hunter out there, and I'm going to just say this right now. Whether or not Brad Holmes seriously pursued, extra pursued, or had any sort of interest in any of those other guys, I don't know, I don't care. Point of the matter is, it didn't happen. So here we are at the current situation that we're at. We don't have a verifiable, talented somewhat, if we want to use that phrase, edge rusher, opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. And let's just call it for what it is. That's a problem. The reason why it's a problem is because this defense over the last two games has been absolutely lights out. This is a defense that we have been waiting for the last, 4 years. And if you take a look at how well this defense has played over the last two games, it has literally played at a championship level. We've held two opponents together combined to 33 points. Think about that. Then on top of that, we held a scrambling quarterback to less than 50 yards rushing. I think we held both teams, the Bucs and the Cardinals, to less than 200 yards passing. And on top of that, I think we held both of them to less than 100 yards. I know we did that for the Cardinals. I don't know 100% if we did that for the Bucs. But the point of the matter is, absolutely stellar performances. And that's not even including the sack totals that Aiden Hutchinson brought to that whole equation. And that's where we come back to the edge rushing problem. Aiden Hutchinson, ever since we drafted him, we knew he was going to be a great talent. We knew he was going to have a great career. But I'm going to tell you this right now. He's already surpassed even that thought process. If he continues to go the way he's been going, I wouldn't be surprised within a couple of years, Hall of Famer starts getting attached to his name. That's how good he's playing. I mean, think about it. When you have 6.5 sacks in 3 games, go figure. But the problem is, this is a championship caliber defense. This is a defense that you can win with. Again, what's the saying? Offense wins games, defense wins championships. This is a defense that if it continues to play the way it is right now, we get to the Super Bowl, we can win. That's how good I believe this defense is. But when you have a hole that Marcus Davenport's absence now literally leaves just out there like a big old red bullseye, now you have a problem. And I know the Lions are saying, you know what? to replace Marcus Davenport, we're going to put more of a load on Josh Paschal to have him fill that spot. And you know what? I'm going to say this. I would like to believe, I would like to have faith that Josh Paschal could go into that spot, fill that spot, and do a damn good job. And you know what? Maybe he does. But if I'm sitting here and I'm trying to be objective about this, Josh Paschal has not done a whole lot ever since we drafted him in the second round. That's why I would hope he would succeed, so that way we could justify that second round pick. But if I'm being honest with myself, I don't feel comfortable with a guy that's not had a whole lot of reps, has also dealt with some of his own injury concerns, now trying to hold down the fort for a position that he really hasn't played a whole lot over the last couple of years, because Josh Paschal has actually played more of an interior role rather than an edge role. So he would have to kind of reacquaint himself with that position a little bit. And I'm sorry, but that's the last thing you want to hear when you're trying to make sure this defense has some continuity to it. So what is the option that we're presenting here is the Lions go out and trade for Trey Hendrickson. Now, why is that the case? Well, other than the fact that Trey Hendrickson would automatically fill that massive void that's being left by Marcus Davenport, let's just understand why this makes sense on so many damn levels. Number one, the Bengals are 0-3. I'm telling you this right now. I don't think the Bengals thought they were going to be 0-3. I don't think anybody thought they were going to be 0-3. Take a look at the teams they've lost to. The only team they've lost to that actually you can be somewhat decently okay with them losing to was the Chiefs. And they only lost to the Chiefs by 1 point. But they've lost to the Patriots by 6, and they just lost to the Commanders by 5. Okay, at 0-3, your chances of making the playoffs are almost damn near zero. So now the Bengals are having to think to themselves, okay, we're 0-3. Our chances of making the playoffs at this point are very small. We still have a Jamar Chase contract that we have to figure out later on. Plus, we also have the situation going on with Joe Burrow and his wrist, and that doesn't seem to be getting any better. So now we've got all these different things that are floating around in the air, and then we have Trey Hendrickson. Now, Trey Hendrickson is a really damn good edge rusher. The last 3 years, he's been a Pro Bowl selection. The last 3 years that he's been in Cincinnati, including this year, the start of this year, he's compiled 41.5 sacks. That's a good damn bargaining chip. For a team that's 0-3 that needs to seriously start thinking about the future and needs to start thinking about next year to kind of get ready to kind of make another run at it, trading Trey Hendrickson makes a damn lot of sense. Trey Hendrickson only has, I think, 1 year after this year on his contract. So they're going to have to try and figure out something with Trey Hendrickson sooner rather than later. Well, here's where my thought process comes in. The Lions clearly need an edge rusher. How about this, Brad Holmes? Why don't you call the GM of the Cincinnati Bengals and say, hey, you guys are 0-3. It doesn't look like you guys are going to go very far. We need an edge rusher. Trey Hendrickson is still a good value pick for you guys. How about we give you a mid-round pick and maybe a lower-round pick somewhere else as compensation? We take off that salary cap from your hands. That way you can use that to sign Jamar Chase. Get that out of the way. And then you also have some draft capital to build with going into next year. And then the Lions, in return, they get one of the best edge rushers in the business. They don't have to give up a whole lot to do it. And now you have got literally one of the most fearsome twosomes in the entirety of the NFL going after quarterbacks. That right there would absolutely cause NFL offensive linemen and offensive coordinators and quarterbacks especially to start crapping their pants. And I mean both legs. Because imagine this. You have Trey Hendrickson on one side. And then you got Aiden Hutchinson on the other. And then you've got DJ Reader in the middle. Let's just say offensive linemen would be literally terrified. And let's just further think about this. The reason why Trey Hendrickson makes further sense for this team, Trey Hendrickson is a freaking hard-ass worker. He definitely would fit in with that mindset here in Detroit. Comes into work, does his job, doesn't complain. And then on top of that, he just has that mindset that fits here in Detroit as well. A gritty mindset. He just has everything that you're looking for from the cultural standpoint that the Lions are all about. And then the talent is obviously there. So it's like, okay, the Lions would not only be getting him for this year, they'd also get him for next year. So it's not just a short one-year rental. They'd actually get him for the rest of this year and next year. So that's a pretty damn good deal. So you not only fixed the problem for this year, but now you've also given yourself a year kind of a buffer to where you could still go out in the draft later on, find a young guy, have him sit behind both Hutch and Hendrickson, get trained up, and then if you decide to let Hendrickson go, you can, because now you have a guy that's been learning under both of these two, or you can bring back Hendrickson for another year or two deal, whatever the case might be. It's a no-lose situation, really, for me and the Lions. That's the way I look at it. Trade a mid-round pick and a late-round pick, agree to take the salary cap, which the Lions have a crap ton to work with. I mean, they have over $30 million. Why not use some of that cap space to go out and get Trey Hendrickson, and now you've got the best defense probably in the entirety of the NFL. Ain't no offense going to want to mess with us. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. That would make perfect sense in my mind. And it makes a hell of a lot better sense for our defense than potentially letting Josh Pascal taking over for the thing, or taking over for that void. Again, I would love it if Josh Pascal could give us a reason to justify that second round billing. But I don't want to do it in this season, and I sure as hell don't want to do it for a position of such importance as the edge rusher when we're only 3 games into the season, folks. This is why I'm saying the Lions absolutely must consider trading for Trey Hendrickson, because there's literally no way I can look at this where the Lions don't benefit. I cannot see a way where the Lions would not benefit from a trade like this. They have the salary cap. They have a clear need. The Bengals are floundering. They need to look to the future so that way they can continue to add pieces so that way they can reload for next year. It works out for everybody. So Brad Holmes, I implore you, get on the damn phone. Call the Bengals GM and start doing your magic and let's make a trade happen. This is one of the few times where I actually am all in on a trade idea because this is one where I don't see any downside and I think it is perfect for both parties. But we'll see what you guys say. Having said that, I'm going to end the episode and say thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also want to encourage y'all to do one of these 3 things: like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, I want to highly encourage y'all, please, make sure you hit that bell notification icon so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Also want to encourage y'all, please, make sure you share this content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you can with everybody and anybody that you can. The more we can share it, the greater the channel can grow, the greater the channel can spread, and the more viewership we can potentially bring in. And with that being said, whether you've been a long-time viewer or a short-time viewer, I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Whether you're a long-time viewer or this is your first time viewing, I always want you guys to make sure you enjoy the content. And on top of that, I want to ensure that everybody out there is having a blessed day. Hopefully you got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. So God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I just want to wish you all the best possible, day. And I'll see you all in the next episode.